Hi everyone, and welcome to the Red Brick House. I'm so glad to have you here with me today. In today's video, I am wanting to make another table runner. Imagine that. You know I love my table runners if you've been watching some of my videos. I think this is the third one I've made, maybe, so far. I'm going to make this one for my little coffee table in the living room. It's going to replace my crochet table runner I made last spring. And in my living room, I have some of these blue and white kind of pottery vases. They're really pretty, and I wanted to kind of keep with that kind of blue and white theme in my living room. And so I am happy to tell you that my Kawandi inspired throw is finished. It is complete, and there will be a video coming soon. So stay tuned for that. But I had this fabric left over from that throw, and so what I want to do is I want to utilize this because my Kawandi throw is going to go in my living room on my couch or something as well. So I wanted to use this fabric, and I think I'm going to make the back of the table runner in this fabric right here. And then in the middle, I'm going to put, I just have an old sheet right here. I used this in, also in the Kawandi inspired throw. I'm going to put that in the middle again because I still have it and I just need to use it. And then for the top, I have a few different fabrics. So I purchased this fabric, so this is new, and it's so pretty. Let me open it up so you can get a better view of it. Oh, it's so pretty. Blue is one of my favorite colors, along with green. I love them both. But I want this to be the center of this table runner. So I'm probably going to use more of this fabric than I will any of the others. And so I also had some fabric left over when I did my quilt at the beginning of this year. And so I just have some different, shades of blue. I have this really bright blue that at first I thought it contrasted with some of these colors. Like, I didn't think it went very well with this. But looking at all the dark blues that I have, I actually think this will brighten it up a little bit. And I think it might work. So I'm going to try it out. And then I have a really dark blue that has some black splotches in it here. Open it up a little more. And then I have some white. I have a little bit of this white fabric left over. Now in this white fabric, it's very hard to see on the camera. I'll probably try to get an up close, shot of it later because it actually has a pattern on this white fabric here. You probably can't see it from there, but there is a really vague pattern on there, which is nice. So I'm going to be using those fabrics. This is going to be a very small little table runner, but I wanted to make this in the style and using the inspiration of the Kantha quilts. And so I'm going to be piecing it together. So I'm going to be quilting as I go, and I'm going to be doing the running stitches over top of it. So let me get all this fabric cut out, and then we'll start piecing it together. Okay, so now I have all my fabrics cut up into different sizes of squares and rectangles. And I have my little table runner here ready to go. And I'm going to start, and I'm going to add my fabric going lengthwise because that's the direction that I want my stitches to go. Hello, kitty. I have a furry friend here with me. Hopefully he doesn't cause too much trouble because all of my cats are pretty calm, but he's very young. He's a young cat, and he's not so calm as the rest of them. What are you doing? He's sniffing everything. He's just checking everything out. Okay, hopefully I can make this video with him in here. We'll see. Right now he's holding my fabric down for me. So I'm going to start making my seam allowance because I want this all folded under. So I'm doing a pretty generous seam allowance, maybe about at least a ½ inch. So I'm going to fold it under, I'm going to press it down really as much as I can, and then I'm going to take my pin, kitty, there's sharp things up here, and I'm going to pin that down. Okay, I need this, thank you. Now I'm going to need to fold this side over. Hey, can I have this? Can I have this? If you're going to be mean, you're going to leave. No, I'm just telling you, you can't lay on top of my stuff while I'm working on it. Okay. So now, let's fold this side under. And that'll give us a nice corner right there before we start adding our fabric. Now I can take this pin out. Be careful, kitty. I'm afraid he's gonna get poked, so I'm gonna have to move him because I don't want to hurt him. He wants to be playful, and I got sharp objects here. You're laying on my fabric. Okay, so now I'm ready to add my first piece of fabric, and I chose to add this one. I'll give you a really up close look since you couldn't really see it very well when I was holding it up before. So here's a closer view of it. Just a beautiful dark blue, royal blue with some white floral patterns on it. Okay, so I have folded it under and pressed it here and here, and I'm going to put that down in my corner. Just like that. And I'm going to leave those pins in place until I get a few stitches in there. Although they do kind of get in the way. So I am using this crochet thread that I also used in my Kawandi inspired throw. It's just from Hobby Lobby. It's very inexpensive. It's only $2 for one of these. And I got that blue, and then I got a white. So I'm going to start with the white. I thought it might be fun to change colors through here. And so I've already threaded my needle. And I am using a lot less thread now. I know I got a lot of comments on that Kawandi throw video of how long my thread was. And really it's just because I didn't like having to tie it off, you know, I don't know, ever so often. But I do understand that that is the reason why it was curling up and twisting up and coming apart, because it was coming. I know to like hang and let my needle spin because I do that with my knitting, but it seems like when I would do that, that the yarn would start to come apart, and then it would just really come apart. The twist would. So it's working much better now. I'm not doing such a long piece of thread anymore. So I'm going to come up in between these two pieces of fabric. So I can hide my knot in here, and I'm going to sew pretty close to the edge, just so, on this first go anyway, just so that I can get all of the fabric tacked down so that nothing comes apart. And then now I'm just going to stitch along here. And really that's all there is to it. I'll just stitch across this. Then I'll be ready to add more fabric and I'll just keep going. This first go around, there's quite a bit of fabric to go through because of the seam allowances. But after that, I'll be able to load up my needle with more than, just one stitch, and it will be much faster. Okay, now I can take this pin out. I don't need that anymore. I am using these curved pins. I don't know if I mentioned that. They're like quilting pins. That's what I'm using to hold all this together. I'm sure that you probably could use straight pins if that's what you have on hand. I've just kind of gotten in the habit of using those curved pins and I really like them. So that's what I'm using. I pretty much only use my straight pins now when I'm sewing clothes or something like that. But for these projects, I've been loving these little quilting pins. Okay, now I'm gonna stop there, right here. I've got about 3/4 of an inch or an inch left on this blue fabric here, and I'm going to stop there so that I can put the other fabric on top of it with a good overlap. So now I'm going to add some white, and I'll show you this one up close because I was saying it has kind of a really faint pattern in it that's kind of hard to see on camera, so I hope you can see that. It's really pretty. Okay, so I've pressed that down with my finger. Kind of wants to come open on me, but you could do this with an iron if you wanted to. It would probably make it a little bit easier. But for right now, I'm just going to go with the finger press. I don't have a setup where I can put my iron in here with me, so it makes it kind of hard to go and leave the camera and go iron things, or move the camera to go iron things. Just makes it a little bit hard. So now this is a really thick piece going through all those layers, so I'm just going to do one stitch at a time until we get through that corner there. And then now you just keep going. And that's really all there is to it. You're just going to keep stitching and keep adding fabric until you get to the end. Hold on. Trying to make sure I keep these really close to the edge. There we go. That's better. I'm so excited to see what this is going to look like when it's all done. I've never made a table runner in this way before. This is going to be very similar to how I made the handbag, but a little different because it's not a handbag. Okay, so now I'll be adding my next fabric. So I'll add one more with you guys on camera, and then I'm just going to go to town sewing this. Let's do this piece. Okay, before I do that, this is wanting right here, this is wanting to come out. So I'm going to go ahead, make my way down this edge and pin it down a little more. So that it won't keep rolling up on me, because I want to make sure that it looks uniform all the way down this stretch of fabric here. So there we go. That's better. Now let's see if this will lay on here a little bit better. I want a good overlap here so I don't have anything puckering or coming out or coming undone. I learned my lesson from the last time. See, you learn as you go and you get better as you go. Okay, so now let's add, oh, it's really thick. Let's add that on. Okay. We are supposed to have more rain today. We've had a couple of nights where we had some thunderstorms and some nice summer rainfall, which we never have in Texas. Like, hardly ever do we have rain in the summertime here where I live. This spring was wild and tons of rain, and now this summer is just as weird because we are above 100 degrees, and we have like maybe had 1 or 2 100-degree days, and that's it. We've just mostly been in the mid 90s, and then all next week we're supposed to be in the low 80s, and we're still, this is July when I'm filming this. We're in the middle toward the end of July. It's just insane. I haven't seen a summer like this, and I've never seen a summer like this here my whole entire life. I think the weatherman said that this 5 days of being under 90 degrees hasn't happened since like 1938 or something. It's so bizarre, but I will take it, you know. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to just continue on sewing, and I'll come back when I've made a little bit more progress. Okay, so now I have my fabrics. I'm all the way to the next end, so to the corner here. And so here is my bottom layer where I have folded it under right here. So it will have a nice edge right there. So now what I'm going to do, I have a little bit of fabric that is hanging over here. So I'm just going to fold that to right about where I think it'll meet up with that seam allowance. And then I'm just going to press it with my fingers, and I will probably pin it down. I want to make sure I'm not tugging it over here and pulling it too tight. Let me show you over here. I want to make sure I'm not pulling it so this is coming up. So I'm going to keep that down, and I'm going to keep this down. And I think that looks pretty good, just like that. So then I lost my pin. Where's my pin? Now I'm going to pin this because I don't want it to go anywhere. I don't want to have to reposition it. So I'm going to pin it way down here at the end. Like that. And then I think I'm going to pin it one more time here, kind of in the middle. There we go. So now here I have a nice corner, just like that. So now I'm just going to stitch to this corner, then I'm going to turn my work around and I'm going to go back the other direction. Trying to look at my stitches here of where I want them to end. I want it to end right here at the end of my fabric. So I think I'm going to make this stitch a little smaller. So I think I can fit another stitch there at the end. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to have to go through it this way because it's really thick on this corner. I'm not going to fight with it, so, and then I'm just going to come up right here. Okay, now I'm going to turn this around. You get organized here. And get it where you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in at the very end of this fabric, but I'm going to go in between these two flaps. This is the best way that I have figured out how to do this, because I want my fabric to, I want my thread to come back up, but I don't want a jog here between my next row of stitching. So I think what I'm gonna do, I also have my my like rotary cutter board here, and I'm gonna use that to kind of gauge. These are 1-inch squares here, or 1 inch between here and here, like right here, between here and here. So I want to do about a 3/4 inch, I don't know, between my two stitches. I want it to be about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to use that little dot, and I'm going to come back up about even with that line, and at least that will start me off in a good place. I'm going to try to keep my lines even. If they end up going wonky, I might mark it across here. Or I might just check it. If I'm working at this table, I can just check it ever so often to make sure that I am staying straight. I'm going to try my best, because that's one thing that I didn't love about my other projects that I've done, because I just eyeballed it, and they just kind of go where they want to go sometimes. I will probably do a couple of rows of the white before I change over to the blue thread. Maybe 4 or 5 rows and then change over. I think that'll be nice. I had looked at other colors as well, but I didn't find any colors that I really thought would go with this fabric. And I really wanted to stick to my blue and white, so those are the colors that I bought. So now that's it. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going across here till I get to the other end and work my way back and forth until I'm ready to add new fabric. Okay, now I need to add some more fabric right here, so I'm going to show you how I do that. I have learned through the last couple of projects that I've made like this that you want to leave quite a bit of fabric here. So I don't know if you can tell, but right here where my finger is, that's my last stitch line, is right here. So I'm leaving about an inch and a half probably maybe 1.75 inches. Enough room that you can tack on your new fabric. You also want a good seam allowance over here as well, and you want a good seam allowance on this side, and that has fixed a lot of the problems that I had in the first Kawandi inspired project that I made. Even though this is a Kantha, it's still kind of the same type of process. Just the Kantha, you're adding fabrics in a row rather than going in a square pattern. So I'm going to fix my seam allowance here. This fabric is not quite long enough, so I will have to address that. I'll have to add something else onto this, but for now I'm going to pin this here so that it's not flipping over on me. I'm using a lot of pins this time too, and that has helped. It's kind of hard to work around them, but it has helped to keep all these fabrics in line from shifting this way or that way. And so that's what I chose to do this time, but you don't have to do that. You can totally just hold it by hand. So I'm going to take this pin out so I can put my new fabric on. Okay, so I'm going to put this blue right here, and as you can see I have a pretty big piece because I can always trim it down after I get it placed on there. So I'm just going to, once again, I'm doing quite a big seam allowance here. I'm going to fold that over. Okay, then I want to fold this whole side over. Wait, nope, I'm doing it backwards. I need to fold this side over because it's going to go on top of this white fabric. So I want a nice clean edge to cover up the raggedy edge on the white. Now then, so it's going to go like that. Then I do have quite a bit left over. I could trim it, or I can just lay it underneath this fabric here, which is kind of what I've been doing because I would just rather, oh, I'm going to have to take this out too. I would rather have more than not enough. So it is kind of hard to hold it all together at the same time. Okay, it is going to be too long. Or no, you know what you can do? What I'm going to do, because I stitched all the way over to here and I need to put this fabric there. So easy fix. I should take my needle out and I'm just going to pull that thread out here. It's hard to see because it's blue on a dark color on a dark color. I'm sorry about that, but I'm just pulling out one stitch. That's all I'm doing. Put that thread aside, and then now I can kind of position that better underneath here. I also want to make sure that I'm adding it into my next line of stitching, so I have a little hole there where those stitches were. So I'm going to line the top of this fabric up with that because I want to make sure it gets tacked down. Now, you don't have to line these two up. You could have it over like this, and I might do that just for fun. But then I do have to deal with this down here, so, but we'll see here. I kind of like the overlapping look of this corner right here. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to tuck that under, making sure that it's going to get tacked down. This line here is a little crooked. This stitch line I've made there is a little crooked, but we're going to make it work. Now I can fold that one back over. And then I'm going to take this bottom piece. I'm going to take this bottom piece and I'm going to fold it under to where it will meet. Make sure I don't pull it down. I probably should have pinned it, but let's see if I can get it in there. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pin it. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to going to take this pin out that I just put in a few minutes ago. There we go. We're going to make that meet up nice and flush right here. And I'm going to put a pin in that. Okay, and then I need to fix this back where it was. So I'm just going to straighten it back up. Put my pin back in here. And I'm ready to go. So now I just have to thread my needle, and I'm just going to continue to stitch across this fabric here. And that's all there is to it. Now it does get a little tricky once you get toward the edges. But that's how I've been adding my fabric. And this one is turning out much better than my very first project. So I am happy about that. You know, it's amazing what you learn and experience your first couple of go-arounds and then you learn from it and you learn to adjust, and then it just comes together a lot better. So I just wanted to show you how I was doing that. And it's almost complete, you guys. I'm going to come back when I have more progress done and it's almost done. Okay, it's all finished. I have thoroughly enjoyed working on this project, so I'm just going to unroll it here and show you the entire little table runner. It's not very big. It's a very small coffee table. I really am happy with this bright blue color because at first I thought it might kind of clash, but I really like the brightness that it gave this little table runner, because a lot of these fabrics were so dark, and so I think it looks really good. I really am pretty happy with it. Just gonna move it through the camera so you can see everything. It's not very many colors or, you know, patterns that I chose. I wanted to keep it simple, but I really do like this. It's going to match the little vases in there perfectly, and I'll bring it up close so you can see my stitch work. I'm getting better, you guys. My stitch work is getting better. It's still a little wobbly, but it's not exactly straight, but it's a lot better. I haven't had any problems with the fabric peeling up because of the way that I attached it on there. So I'm happy about that. You know, you learn as you go, right? And the only problem I have, and maybe you guys can help me out with this, is on the edges. Okay, so the way that I went from this line of stitch, let's say, to the next line of stitch, what I did is that I went through here. Here I just tied it off. But there were a few times, like right here, I'll bring it up closer so you can see. Right here, I just kind of did my jog of stitch there so I could keep going the other direction. But what happened is that you can see how open this is right here. So that's kind of a problem. So let me know, because you guys, a lot of you that comment on my videos, you've been stitching for a long time. I'm kind of new to this, so I'd love your suggestions on how to, you know, go from one side to the other without having a line of fabric or stitching there on the back, if that makes sense. I hope I'm explaining that right in a way that you understand what I mean. So my solution to that is I'm just going to take this edge and I'm going to run it through my sewing machine right at the very tip edge here and put a really fine, I'll probably use a blue thread and just stitch that across there just to keep everything in place. But that is it. Let me show you the back side. The back side is all the same. It matches the Kawandi inspired throw that I made. It's the same backing, so I could choose to turn it over this way and use this side as well. So it is really reversible. I love reversible table runners because you get a 2-for-1, you know? A lot of times when you buy them at the store, they're just the same fabric. And I like being able to have choices and being able to change things up every once in a while. So that is my table runner. So I will leave you with a short picture of this table runner on my little coffee table I have. So thank you guys so much for watching. I so appreciate your comments and your likes. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have a lot of fall projects on the way that are going to be a lot of fun, I think. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.